Hello there, sword friends. Today I'm going to tell you about some upcoming reviews and give you some initial impressions on a couple of pieces from Ronin Katana. First and foremost, this one right here. This is an RK series blade that Ronin Katana sent me for the purposes of review and destruction and overall shenanigans. Now, I actually reached out to Ronin Katana and kind of solicited them to send me a sword so that I could review, and I was most interested in doing this RK Katana, mostly because it's been a while since I've been doing these YouTube videos, and I was, I kind of want to go right back to where I started, and this was the first sword that I really did any kind of destruction testing or reviewing, and I don't really think I did a review. I think I just broke it. Anyway, that was the purpose of what I did. I like to think I know a little bit more about things now and maybe can do a better job. So this is an RK series blade. Both the Ronin Katanas that you're about to see, or the Ronin Katana pieces, because the other one's a European arming sword, are from their scratch and dent lot, so you might want to know that these are factory blemished pieces and aren't necessarily representative of what you should expect to get were you to get one new. But nearest I can tell, all of them are really quite good. The only thing I could spot on this one right here, I don't know if it'll even show up, is this slight blemish in the Ito. The Ito is not particularly tight, but tighter than most other swords in this kind of sub $200 category. It's serviceably tight. We'll see how well it holds up. All of the pieces seem nice, and I'm actually quasi impressed with these semi-embellished fittings and the level of detail in the casting quality. Anyway, it seems handsome. The blade fits in well. The saya doesn't rattle. Overall, just initial impressions on this sword, I was reasonably impressed. It's a sharp piece, and it seems nice. I want to say that the previous RK series blade had a shinier surface, but overall, there's very little that I could find wrong just at a quick glance with this sword. The Ito, the fittings, all that seemingly being nice. The transitions overall seeming quite good. The saya not rattling, and overall the kind of general tension and pressure for releasing the blade from the saya seeming actually not bad. So I'll be doing some practicing with this in terms of actually putting it through its paces, so it'll be a while before I get to the actual destruction part, because I want to see how well this blade functions from a practitioner standpoint. And since I'm shut in, a recluse, and I'm quarantined inside my house, I don't really have much else to do, so I suppose I could try and get better at Iaido. So anyway, I'll be doing that, and I'll be putting this through its paces, but I thought I would show it to you in all its pretty grand glory before I untie the knot. It's got a lovely little sticker that says made in China. And overall, it's a very handsome blade. It's got a hamon that appears natural. There's wax on the blade, and I don't particularly like the wax. I understand why it's done, but I'm just surprised at how well it glides. It seems to slide in pretty well, and overall seems pretty good for a scratch and dent piece. Particularly, this seems quite good. Anyway, this is an RK series blade. If you have any interest in seeing a particular type of something done in the review, the test, something like that, please share it with me in the comment section so that I can try and incorporate into the review that I inevitably get to. Obviously, within reason, there are things I can and can't do, but if it's within the realm of possibility for me to do in my backyard, and I want to, and it sounds cool, then I probably will. Anyway, there have been some really great comments that have come in the past from me just not knowing what to test. For example, some time ago I did a Dark Sword Armory Alexandria review, and in that somebody when I kind of solicited for feedback said, hey, test the quillions, and I granted did not put a very scientific test together, but I did whack the quillions. They did break unexpectedly quickly, or in a way that I think communally people said was not what they would like to see. And it was great feedback for Dark Sword Armory. It's something they said that they would look at. So that's the kind of feedback that I suppose I would like to hear if there's a test, something that's lacking that might provide some perspective on what's good, what's bad. I find that particularly valuable, and it has definitely added to the reviews that I've produced in the past. Anyway, the next sword I will show you is a Ronin Katana Italian arming sword, I believe is the nomenclature they describe it as. Now this one came, scratch and dent wise, a little bit worse for wear, and actually not worse for wear, that would be worse than it actually was. What I would say is that it came with more issues than the other one, which only had a slight blemish as far as I could tell on the Ito. There was a bit of bunching around the scabbard area here, and it was kind of just in a little donut ring down here. So all I did is just kind of pull it up, and now it has spread out. This has been a couple days since I initially pulled it out of the box, and while the leather on the scabbard appears loose, you can probably make out some of the rippling area in here. It really doesn't look that bad. I mean, this is like a under $300 sword, I believe, but overall I wouldn't say that is that is too terrible for a sword in this general price category. I like that the shape, it sticks out a little bit, but there's no large ledges on it. I say that because I was walking around the house with one, and it had some ledges on the back, and it would catch on things, and it was surprisingly harsh when it caught on things. If it caught on kind of hanging fabric or wood, it would scratch more or catch and pull on things. So I didn't particularly like that. Anyway, you can still see that there is some bunched leather here, but it didn't strike me as too bad. The mouth area is, lines up. There's no metal shape up here, but it looks okay. And the thing I noted right away about this sword is just kind of how it feels. The previous arming swords that I've had from Ronin Katana were quite stout pieces. I did test some prototype things that I think I actually still have around somewhere. They were lighter and more nimble, but the pieces that I recall testing, like the knightly sword, which has granted been a long time, I recall it being a pretty beefy, stout thing for holding up to backyard shenanigans. This, while it still has a blade presence, actually feels quite a bit more controllable, and it has the, I don't know, it seems quite symptomatic of an actual arming sword in what you kind of hope one would feel like. It's not particularly light, maybe a little more on the heavy side, at least at first glance, having not measured it, having not done anything. Just initial impressions is what I'm trying to capture here. And it feels more controllable, but also has some heft for the swing. I don't notice any particularly sharp secondary bevel. The sword did come with a smattering of blemishes which appear to be from like a saya rub, but from bouncing around in the scabbard. And again, not uncharacteristic. This is a factory second, a scratch and dent piece, so I'm not expecting the world. Though I would say that if yours came with some blemishes or things like that, that wouldn't be necessarily uncharacteristic for swords in this price point, generally speaking. Anyway, just little things I know. The fullers seem to terminate in about the right spot. The flats on the blade, the surfaces seem, not wobbly. There doesn't seem to be a big distinct hollow ground bevel to it, and the edges, they could be a little sharper, but realistically, they're sharper than a lot of European-style swords tend to come. I don't know how well these quillions will hold up, and in the past, I have not really tested the quillions effectively on camera, but I don't think I know. Somewhere in here, I have, from one of the Ronin Katana longswords, a scabbard or a crossguard that I have banged several swords into and has lasted and bent. So I think these are made quite a bit differently than the other aforementioned sword where I tested the quillions. But I try to do a better job on testing the quillions and putting it in some sort of apparatus, which is not going to exactly be representative of kind of taking a blow or deflecting a strike or anything from the quillions, but it will show how well they absorb some level of impact. Anyway, general gist, I do see some spots over here where they don't particularly line up great. I do like this kind of pommel here. It doesn't bite into my hands, but honestly it's got a little too many sharp ledges for my personal taste. Still, it feels better than a wheel pommel. I can grab onto it, and it gives me a little bit of purchase with my second hand if I need to. Grip-wise, it seems to maybe be a little bit longer in terms of arming swords, at least if you're looking for a one-hander. I have big stupid sausage hands, and I can kind of get two on here. It's rough, but I can do it. And when I do that, I come up to this crossguard. The ledges on here actually seem really crisp and clean, but they're a little rough. They're a little sharp. Not sharp, that's not the right word. It can put a lot of pressure on my thumb and glance my skin across and not cut, but it's without a glove or something like that, this would probably not feel good if I absorbed impact on my hand like this. Anyway, overall, it seems quite nice, and the thing I want to maybe throw a tip of my hat to here is that dynamically speaking, this feels quite a bit more comfortable than I kind of was expecting. I suppose having some degree of familiarity with Ronin Katana products, I just was not expecting the sword to be particularly lively in the hand or to be as nimble. They were stouter in the arming sword pieces. There was one longsword that I tested. I can't remember the model number off the top of my head, but it was light and it was a little whippier, you might say. But all of the products have seemingly been very durable. We'll see how well this one holds up. Now, again, if there's anything you'd like to see tested, measured, or anything you'd like me to go over or see about this particular sword, please throw it in the commentary down below, and I'll be happy to oblige as much as I can reasonably. Anyway, that's kind of what I'm noticing right out of the gate, is they seem like pretty decent products for the price point that's asked, and I'm kind of expecting them to hold up well, given that Ronin Katana products have in the past. So we'll see if that proves to be true. So stay tuned, I suppose, in the coming weeks, months, years, for however long it takes me to get through the testing, and I'll get there eventually. Anyway, That's all I have. Special thanks to Ronin Katana, Chris over there, for sending these my way. I reached out initially about a Ronin Katana RK series, and I thought I was only being sent an arming sword. So I was really, really happy to see that the RK series was sent to me as well. Mostly because I have a little bone of nostalgia right now, or some sort of scratch to itch when it comes to nostalgia for going back to where I started and seeing if I can make a better review than I did the first time around. Anyway, that's all I've got for you. I hope it's been interesting. As always, cheers, and thanks for watching.